What's up, guys? DoubleAction here. Gonna finally get around to doing this tabletop review of my Kel-tec PF-9. It's been a long time coming, and I'll explain why as the review goes on. Had a few issues with it. But anyway, first of all, let me just go through some of the specs on this gun. It's a 9mm. It weighs about 12.7 ounces empty. That's according to the Kel-tec website. 12.7 ounces unloaded. A loaded magazine, just a magazine loaded, is 5.5 ounces. So the gun loaded, looking at about 18 ounces. So just over a pound for the gun fully loaded. Length 5.85 inches. Height 4.3 inches. Width very thin, less than an inch, 0.88 inches, which I found one of the greatest selling points of this gun. Only, less than an inch. Barrel length 3.1 inches and 7.1 capacity. That's 7 in the magazine, 1 in the chamber. 7 plus 1. Trigger pull. Now Kel-tec says the trigger pull is a 5-pound trigger pull. I don't believe that. It feels a lot heavier than that to me. Maybe it's just because the trigger pull is so long. Let me just, first things first, should have done that before, but safety check. Gun's unloaded. It feels like more than 5 pounds, but I think that's just because it's such a long trigger pull. If I use my M&P, my Smith & Wesson M&P, this has a 6.5 pound trigger pull, and again, clear and safe weapon, but it won't fire without a magazine, so I got an empty magazine. It's a short trigger pull, but it doesn't feel as heavy as this. I think it might just be an illusion though, because this has such a long trigger pull. Anyway, be that as it may, the Kel-tec website calls it a 5-pound trigger pull. We'll go with that. That's what they're saying. They're the manufacturer. They know better than I do. Who am I? Anyway, some of the things I like about it. We'll go through some pros and cons here. Some of the things I like about it is it's lightweight. Like I said, less than a pound fully loaded. You can forget that that's there. That's so light. It's thin. That is definitely my favorite attribute of this gun, is the how thin it is. You can put it in an inside the waistband holster, and it doesn't make, it doesn't squeeze you. It doesn't make your pants too small. You hardly feel it in there. It's just melts right in, and you can. I've forgotten I had this thing on me. I've been walking around with it. After a couple hours, you forget it's even there, and that's what you want for a concealed carry firearm. Sights. Most guns, subcompact pistols like this, don't have really good sights, but this does. They're not night sights or anything, but you got actual decent 3-dot sights that you can get a good bead on your target with that. So that's a major plus for this gun. And the other major selling point is the price. Brand spanking new, $279. That's what I paid for it. You can't beat that. Less than $300, and that's a great price for what you're getting. You're not getting a SIG or a whatever. You're not getting a Wilson Combat here, but it's for what you're getting, that's a great price. Now we'll get to some of the cons. Unfortunately, there's a lot of them with this gun. The trigger guard is so small. That's one of my major complaints about this gun. Because it's so lightweight, that's another con, is the high felt recoil due to the light weight of this pistol. Okay, so that high recoil, because you're firing a full-size caliber out of a subcompact, that's just the nature of the beast. You're going to have to deal with that if you're going to fire a full-size caliber out of a subcompact. You're going to have the same thing with Car PM-9. You're gonna have the same thing with the Ruger LC-9. They're all gonna have a high felt recoil because you're firing a full-size caliber out of a subcompact pistol. That's just the nature of the beast. But anyway, that high recoil combined with this short or small trigger guard, it gets your finger right in the knuckle. When it comes up, it hits my finger right there, right in this knuckle. After a few magazines firing through this thing, my finger's killing me from where that trigger guard comes up and hits my finger. And at first I thought maybe it was because I was letting go of the trigger too soon and then it was coming up, but I was making a conscious effort to hold the trigger back after firing and not release it until after the recoil's over, and then I slowly release it until it resets. So I'm all the way back here and this thing is still getting me right there in that knuckle, and it hurts. So it's not a comfortable gun to shoot, but you know what? That's not what this gun is designed for. This gun is designed to save your life in a deadly force confrontation. It's not a range gun. You're not going to go shooting bullseye competitions with this. This is a concealed carry. Holy crap, I'm going to die. Let me defend myself. That's what this gun is for. And it fits that bill very well. The sights, you see you got the white dots in these sights. The white paint came out on the right side of this rear sight. I don't know what happened. The white paint was gone one day, and I ended up having to repaint that. And it was, I mean, not a big deal. I just went and got some tester plastic model paint and a toothpick, and boom, it took me about 2 minutes and it's as good as new. So not a big deal, but just something to be aware of. The heavy long trigger pull just takes a little getting used to. This is a true double action pistol, meaning when you pull the trigger, you can actually see back here, when you pull the trigger, that hammer comes back and then boom, then it goes forward. So the hammer is actually coming back and going forward while you're pulling the trigger. It's a true double action. So you're going to have a long trigger pull, and it's kind of heavy trigger pull. It takes some getting used to if you're used to a striker fired pistol like this, where you just got that short little trigger pull like that, and then you go to something like this where you got to pull the trigger every bit of this length. It just takes a little getting used to. Once you get used to it, you get the hang of it, you can stage the trigger, you can get a feel for it and know when it's about to break, and you can pull it to that point fast and then squeeze it the rest of the way once you get a feel for it. And that'll help. But this is definitely not a gun for an inexperienced shooter. You want to have some experience, some trigger time, and know what you're doing. Otherwise you're not going to be able to fire this weapon accurately. There's just a lot of felt recoil and a long hard trigger pull. It's just it's not a beginner's gun. Okay, so some of the issues I had some issues with this gun, and like I said in the beginning, that's one of the reasons why it took me so long to do this review, because I wanted to get all the issues ironed out so that I could tell you guys how I made out, how they turned out, and do a good review. Well, the first time I took this gun to the range, it fired great. I didn't have any malfunctions. It was wonderful. The next time I took it to the range, after cleaning it, I had taken it apart, but I put it right back together the way it came apart. I didn't put it together wrong. I didn't have a hard time putting it together. It went right back together just the way it came apart. And the next time I took it to the range, I had some serious issues. I would say every other round, if not every 2 rounds, it would double feed. And I figured out that was because this screw here that holds the extractor spring was loosening up, so I tightened that up and it would be better for a few rounds and then it would loosen right back up again. So I put some Loctite on it, and that still didn't solve the problem, and the screw wasn't loosening up. So it was just double feed, one after the other. And when it wasn't double feeding, the magazine was popping out just from the recoil. My thumb was far away from that magazine release, and every time I'd fire around, if it didn't double feed, sometimes it did both. It would double feed and the magazine would pop out. It was just, I couldn't shoot more than 2 rounds without having to tap rack ready, without having to go through a malfunction drill. It was just, I mean, I got a lot of good malfunction drill practice, but that's didn't give me a whole lot of confidence trusting this weapon with my life. So I brought it back to the gun shop where I bought it, and they sent it into Kel-tec for me, which is not something that they're required to do, but they're just a really good gun shop and they did it for me. Took about a month and a half to get it back, which is just ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. It shouldn't take more than a couple of weeks. 6 weeks, and that's what they'll tell you. That's what Kel-tec tells you when you call them up. They say send it in to us, it'll be 6 to 8 weeks and you'll get it back. 6 to 8 weeks? Are you kidding? That's ridiculous. That's a long time. And Kel-tec does not pick up the shipping charges on warranty work. They will not pay the shipping charges. You have to pay the shipping charges both ways. So that cost me 30 bucks. However, I just got it back, took it to the range, and I had, I think, 2 malfunctions, but that was over about 200 rounds. I had 2 malfunctions, and it was only in the first couple of magazines, so maybe it was a little break-in period or something, but ever since then it's been fine. I haven't had any more malfunctions with it. I've put, you know, like I said, a couple hundred rounds through it, and it's been good ever since I got it back. So those are the major issues I had with it. Hopefully those issues are solved. They did a lot of work to it when I sent it to them. They polished the feed ramp. What did they do? They said they did some repair work to a magazine. I don't know what they would have did to the magazine, but anyway, I only sent them 1 of my 3 magazines. Said they replaced some internal parts and they test fired it. Oh, they replaced the whole plastic grip. That's probably to solve the magazine popping out problem. They replaced the whole plastic grip. It's not the frame, because Kel-tec actually puts the frame, it pins inside this plastic grip. They don't refer to this as a grip. But anyway, they replaced it. And like I said, it's been fine ever since. One of the other issues I had with it was rust. My holster got wet, and within a couple of hours, I mean, the holster wasn't wet for very long. Within a couple of hours, you can probably see all the spots on this slide here. Those are rust spots. It happened just that quick. Because this is just a blued finish. This isn't, I know it's not like a black melanite or any of those really good high quality finishes. It's just a blued finish, and it will rust very, very easily. So that's something you want to be aware of. You want to keep a light coat of oil or silicone on it at all times. Don't let it get wet, because it will rust. What I'm going to do, as a matter of fact, as soon as I finish shooting this video, I'm going to take this gun apart and I'm going to throw some Duracoat on it and take care of that rust. I've already, I'll sand it down, I'll clean it up. The breech here rusted too, but I just hit that with a little 600 grit sandpaper and that took the rust right off. I'll probably polish that up too and make it look pretty. But I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to throw some Duracoat on this slide, and that ought to take care of the rusting problem. That's about it. So in conclusion, I would say that for the money, for, like I said, less than $300, you get what you pay for. It is a $300 gun all day long. It's worth every bit of that. Just for the size, concealability, and full-size caliber, subcompact size. and it's been pretty reliable. From what I hear, these PF-9s are very, very reliable. I just happened to get a lemon. That's what I'm hearing from the gun shop where I bought it, and I mean, I'm a regular there. I know the guy. I went to high school with him. He wouldn't BS me. That's what he tells me. He said, I just happened to get the one in however many that happened to be a lemon. And, you know, I guess you can have that with any manufacturer. I've heard about it with Glock. I've heard about it with Smith & Wesson. And it can happen. So, there it is. There's my review of the Kel-tec PF-9. I hope it helped you out. If you were thinking about getting one, hope it helped you make your decision one way or the other. And thanks a lot. This is DubbleAction. Stay sharp, be safe, and God bless. Bye now. Okay, so here we are at the range. Going to test out this Kel-tec PF-9. Like I said, I've been having problems with it. It was double feeding. The magazine was popping out every time you fired a round. I sent it back to Kel-tec, and after about a month and a half and $30 in shipping that Kel-tec wouldn't pay for, I got it back. Now we're going to test it out and see if it works. So stand by. Yeah. Flawless.